Sri Lanka, island of myth, memory, and marvels, where temples rise from jungle floors and time dances to the rhythm of monsoon winds. A place where elephants bathe in ancient reservoirs, where the laughter of children echoes through tea-scented hills, and fishermen balance like acrobats on stilts above the sea. This is no ordinary island. This is a world contained in one drop, a teardrop in the Indian Ocean, yes, but one filled with ancient wisdom, stunning biodiversity, and unbreakable spirit. Welcome to Sri Lanka. From the sacred Bodhi tree of Anuradhapura to the colonial echoes of Nuwara Eliya, from coral reefs of Hiriketiya to the untamed wilds of Yala, each step on this island tells a story that stretches across centuries. Here, the mountains breathe mist, the coasts hum with life, and the cities rise and fall like chapters of an epic still being written. But before we begin this unforgettable journey, know this: the final destination may just be the most magical of them all. A place that captures the essence of Sri Lanka like no other. So stay with us and let the story unfold. Sigiriya, the Lion Rock Fortress. In the heart of Sri Lanka's central plains rises a rock that defies logic and gravity. Sigiriya, a 200-meter-high column of stone that once bore a kingdom above the clouds. Carved into the rock's sheer face are mirrored walls and delicate frescoes. Maidens painted with timeless grace, their smiles untouched by centuries of rain and sun. They are whispers from the 5th century, reminders of a king who dared to dream in stone. King Kasyapa, a man of both ambition and blood, chose this towering rock as his sanctuary, fortress, and throne, a palace in the sky, a monument to both his glory and guilt. To reach the top, one must climb 1,200 ancient steps, past water gardens, moats, and the monumental Lion's Gate, whose mighty paws still guard the final ascent. At the summit, ruins of the royal complex await, stone foundations clinging to windswept edges as monkeys chatter and the jungle stretches endlessly beyond. From here, time falls away. And for a moment, you are not a visitor, but a witness to the imagination, power, and artistry of a civilization that refused to be forgotten. Pidurangala, the overlooked guardian. Not far from Sigiriya's grandeur stands her silent sibling, Pidurangala, a lesser-known monolith, rougher in texture but no less profound in spirit. Before King Kasyapa built his palace in the clouds, this was sacred ground, home to a monastery, a sanctuary for monks, who once meditated in its caves before being respectfully relocated. The climb is wild. Stone steps give way to boulders and jungle roots. Hands are needed, balance too. But at the summit, the reward is timeless. Here, Sigiriya reveals her full majesty, framed perfectly against the endless green. The stone lion watched from afar, now humbled by your gaze. Beside you rests a reclining Buddha carved into stone, serene and eternal, his smile untouched by the centuries that have passed in silence. High in the misty hills lies Kandy, spiritual heartbeat of the island, a city where history chants in temple bells and devotion swirls in the scent of jasmine and incense. At the center, mirrored in a calm lake, stands the Temple of the Tooth. Here, beneath layers of golden caskets, rests one sacred relic, the tooth of the Buddha. 3 times a day, monks in saffron robes perform their rituals. Drums echo, conch shells sound, and pilgrims bow, their hands pressed in silent reverence. Above, the massive white statue on Bahirawakonda Hill watches all, a 26-meter Buddha in quiet contemplation over the valley. Kandy is a tapestry of cultures, traditions, and colonial echoes. In the Royal Botanical Gardens, plants from every corner of the empire grow, testaments to a past both complicated and beautiful. Where jungle meets ocean, Yala awakens, a place of silence broken only by the cries of peacocks, the distant trumpet of elephants, and the soft pad of a leopard on the hunt. This is the wild side of Sri Lanka, a mosaic of scrub, forest, and coastline, where animals live not behind glass but in the rhythms of their ancestors. Safari jeeps roll before dawn, headlights slicing through mist, eyes scan the undergrowth. And then, movement. A spotted ghost slipping between trees, pausing for only a moment, then gone. Yala has the highest leopard density on Earth, but here, even the smallest creature matters. From tiny frogs clinging to leaves, to elephants communicating in frequencies we cannot hear, life thrives. This is not just a park, it is a living reminder that nature still writes her own stories, when we choose to listen. Nestled in tea-draped hills is Yala, a village that feels suspended between time and terrain. Trains glide across the Nine Arches Bridge, an engineering marvel from the British era, built brick by brick without steel. As it curves through the valley, a hush falls. And then click, 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 the camera shutters begin. A ritual almost as old as the train itself. Beyond the tracks, mist hugs the hills. Ravana Falls crashes down in white ribbons. And Little Adams Peak calls to those who seek a gentle climb and a spectacular reward. Yala is green and gold, a place where sunrises break open the clouds and every breath tastes of tea leaves and rain. On the eastern curve of the island, where palm trees lean into salt winds, Arugam Bay greets the morning with waves. Surfers from across the world rise with the tide, chasing the rhythm of the Indian Ocean, their silhouettes carving lines into the foam. But there is more than surf here. Offshore, dolphins leap in celebration, and during migration season, even whales grace these waters with their ancient songs. In nearby Kumana National Park, elephants cross wetlands at dawn, as flamingos wade through mirror-like lagoons. A balance, delicate and divine. Arugam Bay is not just a destination. It is a mood, a breeze, a heartbeat, where land and sea trade stories endlessly. On the southern coast, where tides once carried cinnamon and silk, stands Galle, Sri Lanka's walled city by the sea, built by the Portuguese, reinforced by the Dutch. Its stones have witnessed centuries of trade, of conquest, and of calm. Walk the ramparts as the sun dips into the sea, linger by the lighthouse, still guiding ships to safety, wander cobbled streets where colonial houses now cradle art galleries and cafes. This is a place where east meets west, where time slows and waves tell the stories of ships that never returned. Declared a World Heritage Site, Galle Fort is more than stone. It is spirit. Here, beneath whispering Bodhi leaves, lies the soul of a civilization. Anuradhapura, founded in the 5th century BC, was once a city of kings and monks, where stupas rose like mountains and time flowed with sacred purpose. The Sri Mahabodhi tree, grown from a cutting of the very tree under which the Buddha attained enlightenment, stands here still, alive for over 2,000 years. It is not a relic, it is living history. Jetavanaramaya, once the third tallest structure in the ancient world, now rests in quiet majesty, its bricks weathered but unbowed. Pilgrims circle dagobas, monks walk barefoot at dawn, and as the sun rises above lotus ponds, you realize this city never truly fell. It simply stepped into legend. Polonnaruwa, Sri Lanka's second ancient capital, rises from the forest floor like a whispered echo of a golden age. Here, time sits heavy on stone lions and moonstones. The ruins do not crumble, they rest. Temples once gilded with bronze and fire now wear moss like memory, their columns catching the morning light in quiet reverence. The Galvihara, a quartet of Buddha statues carved from a single granite face, is a masterpiece of serenity. The reclining Buddha, 14 meters long, eyes closed in final peace, holds your gaze long after you've walked away. This city was not just political power, it was spiritual vision. And when you stand in the shadow of the Parakrama Samudra, a man-made sea that still holds water after 800 years, you understand? True greatness leaves behind more than monuments. It leaves wisdom in the soil. The hills climb higher, the air cools, and suddenly you are no longer in the tropics, but in a dream stitched together by clouds and tea leaves. Nuwara, Eliya, called Little England, was once the retreat of British colonists, and it still wears the charm of another world. Red brick post offices, Tudor-style cottages, and perfectly clipped rose gardens. But beyond the colonial facades stretch oceans of green. Tea plantations ripple across the slopes, their leaves plucked by hand, each movement a ritual passed down through generations. Gregory Lake mirrors the sky, and in the distance, the mist hugs Pidurangala, Sri Lanka's tallest mountain. Here, mornings begin with dew. afternoons with tea, and evenings with the slow hush of fog, settling like a story coming to its end. In a crescent of coast just south of Galle, Unawatuna hums with the soft rhythm of waves and memory. Once shielded by vibrant coral reefs, the bay was a sanctuary, both for marine life and for those seeking calm. Though nature has suffered here, from storms, from man, the spirit endures. Fishermen still pull nets at dawn, palm trees lean gently over the beach, and atop the hill, a peace pagoda, built by Japanese monks, watches the sea with silent prayer. Below, the sand is warm, the water is forgiving, and somewhere between the sunrise and the tide, you remember how healing stillness can be. The southern coast curves once more and brings you to Mirissa, where the land opens to meet the sea with joy. Coconut Tree Hill leans proudly into the ocean breeze, a viewpoint etched in memory and photographs. But it is not what happens on land that draws pilgrims here. It is what happens beneath the blue. Just beyond the horizon, the largest creatures on Earth glide silently through the deep. Blue whales, ancient, immense, graceful. This is one of the few places on Earth where you can witness them in their element. Unbothered, undisturbed, utterly magnificent. And when the boats return to shore and the sun melts into the water, the palm trees whisper of things unseen, of wonders too vast to comprehend. Where stone meets sky and silence is sacred, you find the Dambulla Cave Temple, Sri Lanka's spiritual crown. 5 ancient caves carved into a hill, each one adorned with centuries of devotion. Over 150 statues of the Buddha, their faces lit by flickers of oil lamps. Frescoes cover the ceilings like a celestial map. Scenes of miracles, teachings, kings who gave their crowns for peace. Outside, the massive golden Buddha at the base gazes outward, a sentinel of serenity. Inside, time slows to a whisper. Prayers echo against the stone, and even the air seems blessed. This is not a place to rush, it is a place to kneel. Where the Bentota River kisses the Indian Ocean, a tranquil beauty unfolds. Bentota is where stillness and flow meet, where lagoons cradle mangroves in their tangled arms, and birds trace graceful arcs above the waterline. Golden sands stretch endlessly. Resorts open their doors to the waves, and water sports bring laughter to the wind. But step behind the shoreline and a different world emerges. Quiet waterways, herons stalking fish, and the roots of mangroves gripping the earth like sacred geometry. Here, the land lives in balance, between adventure and reflection, between what you see and what you feel. Negombo, between ocean and faith. Just north of Colombo lies Negombo, where faith, salt, and the sea entwine. Called Little Rome for its many churches, Negombo is a city where bells ring through the breeze and fishing nets stretch wide across the sands like open arms. At dawn, the beach comes alive. Boats return, fishermen shout, and the catch is weighed in the soft gold of morning light. The Dutch canals still wind through the town, carrying whispers of a colonial past. This is not a place of spectacle. It is a place of rhythm, of life lived honestly, to the tides and to the prayers of a community bound to the sea. Kalpitiya, where wind and whales meet. At the edge of the northwest coast, Kalpitiya stretches like a wind-blown secret between lagoon and sea. Dolphins leap in morning pods, spinning, playful, free. From November to April, whales pass in silent pilgrimage, their colossal forms breaching the waves. Kite surfers trace wild arcs above the water, riding the very wind that sculpts the sand. And in the mangroves, egrets and crabs perform quiet miracles of survival. This is a place of motion, of forces both natural and human dancing in harmony, for now. Hiriketiya, the hidden cove. Tucked away like a secret waiting to be told, Hiriketiya is a horseshoe bay of gold. Surfers rise before the sun, smoothie bowls arrive in coconut shells. The sound of a guitar competes gently with the surf. It is raw, it is simple, it is honest. And as day melts into dusk, bonfires flicker and stories are traded like currency. Here the line between traveler and local fades. Because everyone came here searching for the same thing, peace disguised as paradise. Sinharaja, the last true rainforest of Sri Lanka. It is not loud, it does not boast, it breathes. A living library of biodiversity, where over half the island's endemic species still survive. Treetops form canopies. Below them, smaller lives bloom in shadow. Ferns, fungi, frogs that sing like birds. This is evolution at work, uninterrupted. Here, every step is sacred, every leaf a memory. And as you walk, you are not just a visitor, you are a witness to the quiet power of an untouched world. On the southern curve, far from crowds, Tangalle unfolds in slow motion. Its bays curve like brushstrokes. Its beaches are poems, unfinished and wild. Fishermen mend nets. Turtles come ashore to lay the future in the sand. And in the lagoons behind, life stirs where fresh and salt water embrace. Mangroves, shrimp, the call of unseen birds. Tangalle is a whisper in a world that shouts, a moment that asks nothing from you but your presence. At last, we arrive in Colombo. Capital, contradiction, connection. Skyscrapers shimmer beside colonial relics. Galley-faced green stretches into the sea, filled with families, food stalls, and flying kites. The Lotus Tower rises like a futuristic bloom, a symbol of a nation reaching ever forward. Markets bustle, temples rise beside churches, the old and the new in dialogue, never still, never separate. Colombo is not the end, it is the beginning, a gateway, a mirror, a pulse. And so we have wandered from coast to mountain, from forest to fort, through legends, ruins, temples, and tides. But the greatest wonder of Sri Lanka? It is not a place, it is a feeling. It is in the kindness of a stranger offering tea, in the prayer flags fluttering above a stupa, in the eyes of an elephant, in the breath of the jungle. Sri Lanka is not just to be seen, it is to be felt. And when you leave, you will carry her with you. Always.